booties for black girl nerds.
Thank you, Jamie, for your time and your talents in this project. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Jeandra. That's very kind of you. Thanks.
The pleasure is mine. Something that's interesting to me about the man, as we'll call him until his identity is revealed for the audience, is the feeling that someone lost evokes. In that, even though he might have done some bad things, there's something sympathetic about a person who doesn't know who he is, who doesn't know his history, no matter what that history is. What type of reaction did you have to him when you learned who the man was?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I felt like I was discovering him in the best possible way, like the audience were. I feel it's very interesting the way they played with that idea of um, morality because you are very much on his side from the beginning. But I think by the end, some stuff that is revealed about him that is fairly unsavory, let's say. And I think you are then your judgment is called into question, which is a really interesting thing for the audience, because this is someone who's you're rooting for him, you're gunning for him, and you like him. I hope. I think my idea was that you really like him and care for him, but then I also think that there's an idea, maybe just maybe, where you're not maybe everything that's revealed to him because of this altered state that is revealed to him in episode 5. I'm not sure you're meant to believe all of it. You know what I mean? You're maybe then not fully meant to buy into all of the darkness. So you're constantly questioning what you're meant to believe. He felt very real to me. He felt very human to me. But he also felt very um, sort of imperfect and broken, and as a result of that, much more relatable because that's how we are as people.
For sure. In the midst of him being in this broken state, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who these people are that we can trust. And he's in the midst of a land that he's not from. He's in the middle of nowhere. You personally, what's more fearful to you? Not waking up and not knowing who you are, or waking up and not knowing where you are?
Probably who I am. I think I could get my head around. I think we've all woken up and not known where we are before. um, I haven't done that so much since my 20s probably, but but yeah, it'd be truly terrifying to wake up and not know who you are. It'd be one of my fears, I guess, of that of especially if you just saw a face and the face was very close to you or showing you a lot of attention and you didn't recognize that face. By the way, that is some people's real reality. It's a real thing that happens, and it's terrifying. So I think that, yeah, well, I feel like I could deal with it if I didn't know where I was. I'd be like, you know, there's so many apps on your phone now. You just get yourself get yourself home.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those and woken up and not where I was too. We all been there at a time or two. Lastly, working with Danielle, who portrays Helen, she's lost in a sense herself, in that she doesn't have her footing in her career and those things. And you guys, the chemistry between the two of you and the scenes that you play together is really, really great. What do you think that she does well that inspired you to perform when you were together in those scenes?
Well, it's such an unlikely couple. It's an unlikely duo, particularly from when you see them at the beginning and her energy that she's bringing in, which is kind of jarring. And in that moment, you're suddenly getting like, who's this girl here? Like, what's she? This is like a very funky, fresh, new energy that is coming in at this point that you're not expecting it. If you see from where they are in the hospital when they first meet to where they end up, it's quite incredible. And I feel like as an audience, you're as much on Helen's journey as you are on the man's. You you're with her, and she's the moral sort of compass of this story, and she's kind of everyone. She's everyone. She's dealing with real stuff. You know, she's dealing with relatable stuff in her home life and in her work life, and I just loved working with her. You know, we were both equally sort of terrified at the beginning of how, because of the journeys are so complicated, about where to pitch it early. You know, you're never shooting these things in sequence. You know, you're always all over the shop in terms of where you begin. But I really felt trust with Danny from the beginning. I think we both had each other's back, and we both trusted so much Chris Sweeney, who directed the first block, who we needed his guidance so much to be like, it's okay, like where you're going with this is right, you know, especially when you're playing with something that's tonally shifting so much, and Danny's providing so much of the comedy in the piece, but then also some very real drama of what's happening in her real life. So pitching it was always our biggest fear of where we were, but we again just trusted each other. And same with Shalom Broom Franklin, who's unbelievable in it too. And we had this thing of like, my character's either with Shalom or with Danielle. Like for the most part, they only had one scene where they were together, where we were all together. So I got very lucky with my girls on this one. Like, just like we had a lot of fun with each other and trusted each other and had a laugh together.
Mhm. I thought you all were wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. This is a great series, and I appreciate you talking to me.
Thanks, Jeandra. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle, for your time. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for talking to me.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. I enjoyed this so much in that I feel like your character, Helen, represents the every person, in that we
Mhm.
want to see the good in people. We want to help those who seem helpless. Why do you think it's so easy for Helen to gravitate to the man? It's even though maybe some of his things are sketchy, we don't know what they are, but there's something very sad about a person who doesn't know who they are.
Yeah, I think Helen is really compassionate and empathetic. And I think seeing someone so lost, knowing that she has the resources to help, she feels like she has no choice but to help. And I think that she's kind of felt lost in her life as well. I think that she might even be in that place when we start. And I think that she can relate to him in that sense. But I also think she's just a really good person, you know, and I think helping is in her nature. And she really does see the positive in life and in people. And I think that that is a really beautiful quality that she kind of explores with him. And I think that's why he trusts her as well. And I think that that's how they create this bond. It's like just two people finding each other in this crazy world where they're feeling a little lost.
hmm I love that when we first meet her, she's very, very shy and kind of stumbling over her words a little bit. And as the episodes go on, she speaks with more conviction and less fumbling. Was that an intentional choice for you? Was it jumping off of the page? How did you shape just even how her cadence went?
Yeah, it was definitely both. I think when I spoke to the brothers Jack and Harry, it was so much of she's on this journey and she's going to find out who she is kind of along the way. And so she very much starts in one place. But I think as we gain confidence in life, you know, in our own abilities, we tend to be able to speak up a little bit more. And I think that's exactly where Helen's coming from. So yeah, I didn't want her to just be this one-dimensional person. I think that even when she's speaking up, she's still a little nervous too. Do you know what I mean? She's like, I'm going to do this, but I'm still a little bit nervous to do it. But I'm at a point now where I can. And before I wouldn't have been able to. So I think that was what was really fun. And I think it's kind of fun seeing her like become a little defiant, a little headstrong, and just like present with herself and really knowing and trusting herself and her instincts. Cause I think she had them at first and she just wasn't trusting them, and she really learns to throughout the series, and that gives her more confidence to be a little bit more bold. So it definitely was a choice. Yeah.
For sure. When I was talking to Jamie earlier, I complimented on the wonderful chemistry that the two of you had in the conversations and how you all could kind of commiserate on that feeling of loss, whether physically or, internally. And I asked him what you did well in the scenes. And he had just the most wonderful things to say about you and how you guys bounced off of each other and just how you created this wonderful dynamic. When you look at those scenes, like especially in the car, what do you think he does well that inspired your responses to him and creating those scenes?
Jamie is really, it's actually funny. He's got these really kind eyes. He's got really, really kind eyes. And he's someone that when he looks at you, he chooses to actually look at you. And I think that is something that he brought really nice to Elliot. Like, I think there were so many times where he's feeling lost and is looking away and distant. And then when he locks in on Helen, he locks in and he actually sees her. And that's a really beautiful quality. Like, we had a scene in, I think, episode 4, where we're in the hotel. And that was a scene where it was just so connected between us, like when we were sharing parts of our lives. And that was just, it's just things like we just had to grab each other. I think we were literally grabbing each other's like wrist or something, because it's such a weird position. But there was that point of like, we need to be connected. And Jamie's really good at knowing instinctively when that needs to happen. And he's very good at connecting. So it's great to have a scene partner that is just there to listen and react, because that's what acting is. It's really finding it together and in the moment. And he's really good at just being open to that. And not everyone is. Sometimes it's really pre-planned and it's like you're in your head, and he's not. He's completely open into whatever you bring, and he'll be affected by you and you can be affected by him because of that. And he's also really quick and really funny. And I love that. He just really knew the right tone at all times.
He said the exact same thing about you. Well, I thank you so much. I enjoyed both of you so much in this series, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. You too.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.